8 companies, 8 captains, 8 of the most dangerous and disciplined and downright insane leaders in anime history. Whether they're preaching about the faith or commanding from the front lines or hiding deadly secrets behind charming smiles, the captains of the Fire Force are not just military heads, they are living weapons. But what really makes a captain in Fire Force? Is it power, leadership, ideology, or is it a tragic past that they burned the world to avenge? Join me in today's newest Anime Explained video where we're going to break down every Fire Force captain, their powers, their backstories, philosophies, strengths and weaknesses, and what their roles mean in the fiery world of Fire Force. First, we're going to start with the structure of the brigades. Before we jump into each captain, it's important to understand how the Fire Force is built. There are 8 special Fire Force companies, each with its own jurisdiction, mission style, and ideology. Some serve the Holy Soul Church, others serve the Tokyo Empire, and some, they operate in the shadows. And at the head of each one is a captain. Some are warriors, some are tacticians, and all of them are dangerous in their own ways. Like for instance, Captain Obi. Let's start with the man who is all heart and no powers, Captain Obi of Company 8. He is a hero without flames. Obi's origin is rooted not in fire, but in resilience and discipline and pure human will. In a world where pyrokinetic powers often define strength and where infernos, outbreaks, they threaten society daily, Captain Obi stands out because he has no abilities at all. Yet, despite his powerlessness in a battlefield that is dominated by flames, Captain Obi rose to become the unshakable captain of Fire Force Company 8. His story is one of grit and tragedy and unrelenting purpose. Obi began his career as a regular firefighter in the Tokyo Fire Department. Back then, he was already known for his incredible strength and his bravery and his fierce devotion to saving lives. He worked tirelessly with his partner. Together, they responded to countless fires, risking saving their lives to rescue victims from burning buildings. However, their efforts were often overshadowed by the Special Fire Force, the elite military units who were formed to combat infernos, humans who were transformed into living flames by spontaneous human combustion. Unlike the regular fire department, the Special Fire Force, they had pyrokinetic soldiers who could fight fire with fire. This gap, it didn't discourage Obi. Instead, it made him work harder. He began intensive self-training, pushing his body beyond normal human limits. Every day, he lifted more, he ran further, and he increased his resistance to heat, all while continuing his duties as a firefighter. He couldn't create fire or manipulate it, but he vowed to be someone who could stand on the front lines regardless as to how hot it got. The turning point for him was a corrupt system. This breaking point came when he and his partner, they were on a call involving an inferno. Following protocol, they tried to evacuate the civilians who were waiting for the Special Fire Force to arrive. But during the chaos, Obi saw some things that made him change his view of how things were done. Obi was devastated. What he uncovered during the time afterwards, it changed his worldview. It was corruption. The Special Fire Force, it was riddled with hidden agendas, disillusion, and incredibly angry. Obi wanted change. He wanted a new kind of justice. Thus began Fire Force Company 8. Because Obi didn't give up. If the system was corrupt, then he just fixed it from the inside. He joined forces with Lieutenant Hinawa, a stern and disciplined former soldier, and together they founded Fire Force Company 8. Unlike the other companies, Company 8, it was a ragtag unit created to investigate the other Fire Force companies and expose their secrets. Obi's philosophy as a leader, it was simple: protect people, reveal the truth, and earn trust. He recruited misfits and outcasts, Shinra Kusekabe, Arthur Boyle, Iris, Maki Oze, and he turned them into a family. He trained alongside them, he fought alongside them, and often took on the most dangerous jobs himself, despite being the only non-pyrokinetic. He uses powerful equipment like heavy armor and weapons and flame-resistant suits, relying on his incredible physical strength, his high pain tolerance, and his knowledge. He's able to take down infernos through sheer force, no fire required. The reason Captain Obi matters is he represents the heart of Fire Force, in my opinion. In a show about supernatural powers and apocalyptic threats, he is the constant reminder that courage and discipline and morality, they matter more than abilities. His origin is not about discovering powers. It's about becoming a hero at all costs. His story resonates because it shows that strength is not always about what you're born with, but instead who you choose to become. That's why even amongst pyrokinetic monsters and gods, Captain Obi stands tall, the strongest, powerless man in Fire Force. Obi proves that even without flames, you can still be the spark that ignites justice. And that brings us to Captain Leonard Burns. From humble beginnings to the Holy Soul's soldier, this is Captain Burns, the man who carries the sun. Leonard Burns is the stoic and formidable captain of Special Fire Force Company 1. He is a man who is cloaked in both mystery and reverence. Towering and calm and deeply devout, Burns is known as one of the strongest and most respected captains in the entire Fire Force. But behind this composed demeanor lies a man who is burdened by knowledge, truths so devastating that they scorched his soul long before any flame ever touched him. He is a man of faith and duty. Burns' early life is not deeply explored in public records per se, but it's clear he was raised deeply within the teachings of the Holy Soul Temple, the dominant religion in the Fire Force world. From a young age, he was trained to value faith and order and purpose. These teachings shaped his core philosophy, that the Great Cataclysm was a divine punishment, and that the Fire Force exists to carry out divine will by purifying infernals. He quickly rose through the ranks due to his power and his loyalty, eventually becoming the captain of Company 1, the Holy Soul Temple's direct representative within the Fire Force. This gave him not only military power, but religious authority, making him a symbol of divine justice in the eyes of the public. The turning point for him is the Adola Link. His life was forever changed 12 years before the main story, during a fire at the Kusakabe household. The very incident where Shinra was orphaned and blamed for the death of his mother and his brother. Burns was the first responder, investigating the blaze alongside Joker, who was then part of the Holy Soul's assassin branch, the Holy Soul Shadow. What they discovered was not just an infernal, but a connection to another dimension, the Adola Burst, a mysterious flame that believed to originate from another world. During the incident, Burns came into direct contact with an Adola, causing his right eye to be permanently burned, not by heat, but by the metaphysical trauma of witnessing something divine and otherworldly. The experience, it filled him with fear and awe, but more importantly, it opened his eyes to the dark truth behind the Church of the Holy Soul and the Fire Force's origins. What he once believed to be divine, it was now suspect. In so many ways, you can describe him as being silenced as sacrifice. After the incidents, Burns, he was changed. He became quiet, stoic, and more reserved in his leadership. But unlike Joker, who became rebellious, Burns, he made a painful choice. He would continue to serve within the system, using his rank and influence to protect people while hiding the truth until the time was right. This dual life, faithful servant and silent skeptic, it defined his existence for such a long time. While he was still someone who was steeped in the church's doctrines, he also knew that there were lies there. He continued to defeat infernals and train new recruits, but he always kept a watchful eye on those who were connected to Adola, particularly Shinra Kusakabe, a child from the fire 12 years ago. Despite his internal conflict, Leonard Burns is one of the strongest pyrokinetics in the world. His ability is pressure ignition. He ignites flames by increasing the pressure in his body, resulting in explosive bursts of strength and fire. In battle, his moves are something of calculated force, using controlled bursts to enhance his punches and defense. Combined with his military-grade training and his religious authority, Burns is nearly unmatched in a lot of ways. However, his power comes at a cost. Continued use, it aggravates the damage done to his Adola-linked eye, causing pain and visions of the Adola world. This constant torment serves as a reminder of the truths that he keeps hidden. The legacy of Captain Burns in so many ways is not just a story that has an origin of power, but also one of burden. He is a man who saw the truth. He bore the consequences, and he chose to carry the weight of the world's lies so that others wouldn't have to for a time. While he may seem cold and distant, his motivations, you could argue they are selfless. He believes that protecting people sometimes means protecting them from the truth until they are strong enough to face it. Hence, he waited to tell Shinra the truth about what happened with his mother. In a world of fanatics and liars and a lot of zealots, Leonard Burns is the rare man of faith who chose clarity over comfort and action over denial. even if that meant some uncomfortable situations for him and some rather questionable choices once we get towards the end of the manga. He is the flame that endures in silence at the end of the day. In my opinion, Captain Burns walks the line between blind faith and burning truth. This brings us to Captain Giovani. What do you get when you mix a madman, mechanized evil personified? You get Captain Giovani. He is the mad apostle of science. Dr. Giovani began life as a brilliant scientist, once as a chief researcher for Hibana Industries, the powerful conglomerate that many of the Fire Force's technical advancements come from. Giovani was driven by an insatiable hunger for knowledge, but it wasn't pure science that motivated him, it was obsession. This obsession would really come into play when you learn about who he studied under and the connection to one of the members of Fire Force Company 8. Giovanni's descent into darkness, it began when he encountered evidence of the Adola burst and the existence of Adola, a mysterious otherworldly dimension tied to human combustion. This revelation, it shattered his scientific objectivity. He abandoned traditional research and turned to experimentation without limits, seeking a communion with Adola at any cost. Eventually, Giovanni became affiliated with the Evangelist, a godlike being who seeks to return the world to flames through another great cataclysm. In the pursuit of this goal, Giovanni betrayed the Fire Force and joined the White Clad, all while continuing to act as the captain of Company 3, using his position to feed intel and experiment on pyrokinetics. As his body aged and it decayed, Giovanni began replacing himself with machine parts, becoming more cybernetic than human. His modifications, they grant him enhanced speed and strength and durability and perception, making him a dangerous opponent despite the lacking of pyrokinetic powers. His transformation, it reflects his ideology. A man must become more than flesh to transcend human limits in order to reach Adola. What makes Giovanni terrifying isn't just his intellect or his tech, it's also his fanaticism. He believes suffering is necessary for enlightenment and that the reason must bow to revelation. Giovanni's origin is a twisted tale of a man who traded humanity for knowledge and then traded knowledge for devotion to destruction. He isn't just a traitor, he's a zealot who is a mechanical soul and a burning desire to see the world consumed. Giovanni, in short, is what happens when the thirst for discovery consumes the soul. Next up, we have Captain Soichiro. He's a man of science with a mind on the edge, to say the least. He's a man who loves the flame. Captain Soichiro is deeply complex and haunting in terms of a figure. He's equal parts eccentric philosopher as well as tragic believer. Unlike many in the Fire Force, his story isn't one of strength or leadership in a traditional sense, but rather a man who is consumed by a spiritual obsession with the flame. Once a decorated soldier and a founding member of the Fire Force, his career was marked by loyalty and passion. He devoted his life to understanding the divine nature of fire, not just as a tool or a weapon, but also as a sacred phenomenon. He believed that fire was the language of the gods, a force of transformation that could purify or destroy. To him, the flame, it was the ultimate truth. He developed a reverence for pyrokinetics and those who were touched by Adola. When Shinra Kusekabe displayed signs of an Adola link, he became fixated on him, treating Shinra not as a mere soldier, but as a messiah figure in a way, a living bridge to a higher reality. This intense fascination made him one of the few authority figures openly supportive of Shinra's investigation into Adola. However, it also made him a target. His faith in Adola's truth eventually led to his assassination by the White Clad. He was killed during a vision triggered by the Adola link, smiling in his final moments as if receiving a divine revelation. He wasn't the strongest or the most strategic, but he is the most spiritually awakened. His life and his death, they serve as a grim reminder of the line between the divine truth and the madness. It is razor thin. He wasn't just a captain. He was a man who loved the flame too much to survive it. He wasn't just chasing the light. He was letting the light consume him in so many ways. Next, we have Captain Hibana. She is a princess. She is beautiful. She is deadly. She is utterly commanding. And did I say she's beautiful? I got a simp for her for a second. So Hibana went from a flower of grace to a thorn flame. Hibana, the alluring, the voluptuous, super sensual, commanding captain of the Special Fire Force, is a character who embodies both elegance and cruelty, at least at first glance. With her demeanor and her seductive presence and her signature sakura flame motifs, her appearance, she comes off as untouchable, but beneath the surface lies a woman who's shaped by pain and disillusionment and eventually, ultimately, redemption. Hibana was once a kind-hearted orphan raised by the Holy Soul Temple alongside Iris of Company 8. As children, they lived at the Covenant and they were trained in faith and in service. Back then, Hibana, she was deeply spiritual, devoted to the church and full of ideals. But tragedy has shattered that belief. One by one, her fellow sisters, they spontaneously combusted, turning into infernos before her very eyes. Helpless to stop it, she witnessed people she loved consumed by flames without divine intervention. The trauma, it broke her faith, it broke her heart, it hardened her heart. It convinced her that the world, it was ruled by power, not by prayer. Hibana, she abandoned her ideals and she replaced them with cold pragmatism. She rose through the ranks of the Fire Force using her intelligence and her pyrokinetic abilities, eventually becoming captain of Company 5, a unit notorious for experimenting on infernos and operating under Hibana Industries' influence. Hibana wielded both fire and the fear to maintain control, seeing others as tools or pawns, especially those who were weaker than her. But she began to change after her encounter with Shinra Kusakabe. Despite initially mocking him, Captain Hibana, she was shocked by Shinra's unwavering heroism and his belief that the strong should protect the weak. His ideals, so similar to the ones she had once abandoned, it stirred something long buried deep inside of her. She was moved by Shinra's warmth and his resolve. Hibana, she began to slowly reclaim her humanity, shifting from antagonist to ally. She became the unofficial informant and support for Company 8, using her position within Hibana's network to feed them crucial intel. In terms of power, Hibana is a third-generation pyrokinetic. She manipulates the flames in the form of heat-based illusions and petal-like projectiles, often overwhelming her enemies with hallucinatory heat waves and blinding beauty. Her style, it is graceful, but it is also deadly. Hibana's arc is one of inner resurrection, a woman who lost her faith in divine, but found it again through human connection. She's no longer just a princess of flame. She is a survivor who bloomed through fire. Hibana's flames, they bloom from pain, but maybe love can change that. Next up, we have Captain Benimaru. He is feared, he is respected, he is untouchable, he is him, Captain Benimaru, the strongest fire soldier alive. As captain of Special Fire Force Company 7, he stands as one of the most powerful and unique characters in Fire Force, known as the Asakusa Devil or the strongest fire soldier. Benimaru is a true anomaly, not just in terms of strength, but in personality, background, and ideology. His origins, they lie in a legacy of loss and loyalty. Benimaru hails from Asakusa, a traditionalist district steeped in the old Edo values and customs. He was raised by the previous captain of Company 7, a man revered by the community for his strength and for his leadership. When you had citizens in a tragedy perished in the catastrophic infernal incident, Benimaru was forced to destroy them all. That moment, it defined him. It instilled in him deep, painful sense of responsibility and a belief that he must bear the burden of protection alone. And that moment that defined him, even though he got knocked unconscious at one point, it still instilled in him a deep, painful sense of responsibility. And since then, Benimaru, he has become a fierce, almost mythic guardian of Asakusa. He does not trust central institutions like the Holy Soul Temple or Hibana Industries, preferring instead to act independently. While officially under the Special Fire Force, Company Number 7, they operate autonomously, answering only to Benimaru's own moral compass and the will of the people. He is a reluctant leader with a warrior spirit. Benimaru is antisocial, he's blunt, and he's undefined. He dislikes authority and rarely plays politics. Despite this, he's incredibly respected, not for charm or diplomacy, but his actions, they speak louder than words. To the people of Asakusa, Benimaru is more than a captain. He's a symbol of security. While he appears brash and disinterested, Benimaru is incredibly observant and he is wise in his own way. His leadership is a hands-off way. He believes in letting people act freely while stepping in only when truly necessary. His deep connection to his community and his willingness to sacrifice everything for them makes him one of the most noble captains in the series. In terms of power, he's the only hybrid pyrokinetic because he is both a second and third generation pyrokinetic, making him the only known hybrid in Fire Force's universe. This means he can create fire as a third gen and control existing flames as a second gen. It is a lethal, unmatched combination. His combat style, it is explosive, unorthodox, and it is visually spectacular. He can launch devastating flame-powered strikes using his signature weapon. He can channel flames with pinpoint control. Benimaru's raw power, his versatility, and his battlefield instincts are so great that even the Evangelist followers and high-ranking white-clad members, they fear him. He once single-handedly wiped out a battalion of Infernos and white-clad members without breaking a sweat. Benimaru's greatest strength lies in his hybrid abilities and his peerless combat instincts. He is a master of guerrilla warfare, hand-to-hand combat, explosive techniques, and able to overwhelm opponents before they react. His fierce loyalty and independence also give him an edge. He cannot be manipulated or corrupted by outside factions. His weakness is he's not that good at being a leader and he's a bit of a lone wolf. And he's also distrusting of authority for a majority of the series itself. He is the heart of a fire in so many ways. Benimaru is the heart of Company 7, and you could argue he's one of the hearts for the Fire Force. He represents what it truly was supposed to be, protectors of life, not pawns in politics or religion. Through grit, honor, and sheer power, Benimaru proves that strength isn't just about how much fire you wield, but how far you're willing to go to protect the ones that you love. Benimaru doesn't serve kings or gods, only the will of Asakusa. And as we see with his doppelganger, he has the potential to ignite the entire world, but never unleashes those flames in that way. This brings us to Captain Wong. Captain Wong, the Flame Doctor of the Fire Force. She is the captain of Special Fire Force Company 6, who operates primarily as the medical and healing division of the Fire Force. Calm, pragmatic, and slightly irreverent, Captain Wong plays a critical but understated role in this series as a combat medic and physician trusted by multiple companies. Unlike most other captains, she's not a pyrokinetic. She relies on her extensive medical expertise and experience dealing with burn trauma, infernos, and post-battle injuries. Her company's 6th facility serves as the go-to recovery center for wounded fire soldiers, and she commands it with a mix of dry wit and no-nonsense efficiency. She is a bit of a sardonic in terms of sense of humor and often teases her patients, but she very clearly deeply cares about their well-being. Despite her lack of supernatural abilities, she's respected as a captain because of her professional competence, her emotional resilience, and fearlessness, and the way she treats people even when they're dangerous cases. Her presence reinforces the idea that not all heroes in the Fire Force that wield flames. Some can heal those burned by the flames. Captain Wong proves that brains and heart and calm, they are something that, when under pressure, can be just as essential as raw power in a world that's constantly set ablaze. This brings us to Captain Honda. So Gustav Honda is another captain in Fire Force known for training new recruits and producing strong soldiers for the other companies. A former military man, Captain Honda runs his company like a strict boot camp, emphasizing discipline and strength and structure above all else. As a second generation pyrokinetic capable of manipulating existing flames, though he rarely uses those powers in battle. Instead, his leadership, it comes out in his experience through his physical toughness and his commanding presence. He instills martial discipline into his recruits, including Shinra and Arthur during their early training. His intense drill sergeant demeanor, it can be harsh, but it hides a genuine desire to see his subordinates survive and thrive in this world of dangerous firefighting. In a world where fire consumes without mercy, his company ensures that the next generation of fire soldiers, they can stand firm, battle-hardened, fearless, and ready to face the flames. Now, in terms of themes and symbolisms for the captains, I think you can take a step back and look at the captains as a whole here, and there are patterns that emerge. You have faith versus free will. Burns, Hibana, and Captain Wong, they all represent varying relationships to this philosophy. Then you get into power versus responsibility. Benimaru and Obi, they show two sides of leadership, one unmatched strength and the other unwavering morals. And given where they end up at the end of the story, it makes a lot of sense that these two are linked together. Then when you get into science and insanity, Giovani is the one that definitely identifies as a reflection of this in so many ways. Each captain is a reflection of the world that they're trying to save, or in one case, trying to burn it. In conclusion, each captain, they carry a torch for justice, power, salvation, or something far more sinister. But as Fire Force burns towards its explosive climax in the anime, only one truth remains for you anime-only fans. The captains are not just leaders, they are the final shields against hell itself. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and let me know who your favorite captain is in Fire Force. In the meantime, check out more videos from Anime Explained by clicking here on the left, or click here up top to check out videos from my One Piece channel, or click here on the right to check out videos from my Naruto channel.